Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Max.
And this is Movies Actually, where we give you an honest review of the movies we've meddled with so mischievously over at Maybe Movies.
And this time we will be looking at Salem's Lot. This will be the original adaptation, the 1979 adaptation by Toby Hooper, starring David Soul, Bonnie Bedelia.
Put down the gun.
And the ever-great James Mason as well.
Magnificent voice there.
Yes. And I'm sorry, there is a slew... Oh, sorry, and of course, Juliette Lewis's dad, Jeffrey Lewis as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, probably the main, the recognisable sort of faces and names out of the cast. I'm sure if you're watching this in the States, there's a slew of other actors that you recognise.
I'm sorry, but you did miss Fred Willard.
Fred Willard.
He's done a bunch of stuff.
I know the name by... Who was
Crockett. He was Crockett. He's literally been doing things in the last 7 or 8 years.
Has he?
Yeah. Well, until he stopped doing it, until he retired. Yeah, he's been doing it right up. Yeah.
As I say, I just look at him, especially in this, and I just go, you look a little bit like James Garner.
He does look a little bit like James Garner. That's very true, folks. Let's not deny it.
But yes, as we say, this is the 1979 version, not the 2004 version, or the one that I think was supposed to have been out last year, but was supposed to have come out. I think it's gone straight to streaming. That came out in April this year.
That does not bode well.
No.
Although
when I was looking earlier, I did notice that I think the guy who plays Mike Ryerson, in the new one, is the guy who played Baby Strucker in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh! All right, and he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at what he does. Oh, maybe give that a look. We'll see.
But do you want to go first? I mean, what's your memories of this?
Well, I have to admit, I had the good fortune to be there way back in the beyond days when this was actually a made-for-TV miniseries. And I watched it over its 2-night run. And my 6-year-old self was suitably terrified by Richie, Danny Glick at the window.
Ralphie Glick first.
Ralphie, but then Danny.
And then Danny later.
Yeah, it's Danny later when he pulls out the cross. That's the bit that struck me more than the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I
definitely.
can see that. Yeah.
But the idea of just somebody going scritchy scratch, scritchy scratch, scritchy scratch was one of those persistent nightmare images for me.
Especially if you had any trees near your window as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I never had trees near my window, but I was like, I'm glad. Between that and Poltergeist, I didn't want a tree near my house at all.
They're here.
So this first aired over here in September 81.
Really? That late?
Yeah. And so I would have been...
that was the month before I came to England.
Oh, right.
I arrived in October.
81, I'd just been 7. And I seem to remember, obviously, considering what it was, I was 7 years old, Mum and Dad, no. But as was the case again when we were kids, we'd have dinner with them, kids go off and play, Mum and Dad do whatever. But we'd always have to go downstairs to say goodnight to Mum and Dad.
Of course, yes.
And I came downstairs.
And it was on.
Scritchy scratch.
Oh,
right before I went to bed.
So you didn't even try to watch it, it was just there for you.
Oh. Scared the living shit out of me for about a week because it was done. It seemed to be the next part. I think was aired about a week later. A week later, I went downstairs. Mrs. Glick. Mrs. Glick when I went the second time. So I can't say for definite. I'm sure the second time there was possibly a touch of nascent morbid curiosity. That's all things horror. But yeah, just that happened to be the bits when I went to go downstairs and the TV was on. So that was also, it was many years later when I finally got to sit down and watch it. And I think I did see the truncated TV version, the TV movie version of it.
Right, okay, yeah.
For anyone born in the 70s or early 80s, this is nightmare fuel.
Oh, the scritchy scratch. It's the scree. It's the little scree noises of the nails against the window pane, which are obviously just done with fake nails, but it's so effective.
It is.
Scree. Oh, yeah.
It is a fantastic adaptation. Again, it's one of those ones that... It is one of those ones you kind of sometimes say, well, it doesn't need a remake. I know they've done it twice, and my understanding from what you were saying, the 2004 one focuses on other elements of the book, didn't you say?
Like I say, the skeleton's the same, but the minutiae that it chooses to focus on is completely different from this version of the book. In an ideal universe, you'd take those two versions and smush them together, and you'd get something not exactly, but pretty darn close to the actual book. Definitely. But they both chose to focus on different versions or different aspect of the vampirism.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one, it's an infection.
Yes.
You know, they're relatively innocent people in an innocent town being infected by the disease.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the novel and the 2004 remake focuses more on the incipient corruption of small town life and politics.
Okay, so you've got like the hypocrisy of White Picket Fence America.
Yes.
Everything's nice, but if you look beneath the surface...
You look beneath the surface and you see the vampiric side of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. I would like that one. I haven't seen. I did hear about this, that they... Originally it was going to be a movie, but in the same year that this came out, the version of Dracula with Frank Langella as Dracula came out.
I've never seen it. I've heard so much about that version, but
It's
I've
not
never
bad.
seen it.
I have seen it. It's not bad.
All right.
But also I didn't realise the same year as well, Werner Herzog's adaptation of Nosferatu the Vampire came out the same year.
Right, the remake of Nosferatu.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's why they then turned it into a TV movie, because they thought, there's two other vampire films in the theatres, let's make it a mini-series.
I'm glad they did. Like so many of Stephen King's books, they're very dense with lore, background, character studies, and things like that, that a 2-hour movie or even a 90-minute movie are just going to miss entirely. And the 3-hour, 180-minute runtime of this, it doesn't give the entire book room to breathe, but it gives a lot more room than most other avenues would. And
Absolutely.
I'd hate to see that as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So much would have been lost.
Yeah.
So much. And like I say, this is not even a full and accurate adaptation of the book.
So, but the other thing apparently with this as well, the reason why I found out about that was who they originally wanted to direct it when it was a movie was George Romero.
Oh, that would have made so much more sense, because there's a kind of parallel between the creeping doom of the living undead and the vampire. There's a similarity, and also he wrote Martin, which was a very introspective quasi-vampire movie.
Yeah, but I think
which once again, I've never seen that one.
I've never seen Martin, no. But I think he felt the restrictions on doing it as a TV movie would hamper his vision of it.
Budget restrictions would have been horrific.
You say that. This was made on a budget of $4 million.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good, especially for that time. That's sort of Shogun level money, isn't it? You know.
And I didn't. Did you know that there's? I don't know. They did show this in some theatres. Had a selected theatre release, and they added extra blood in for it because they could in the theatres. I don't know how. I don't know if there's extra stuff that we've never seen.
Well, you know, like it always fades to black when somebody's neck is being bitten.
Oh, yeah, they could have just shot some extra stuff to throw in there. Yeah, that makes sense.
Chomp streams of blood running down, and suddenly you've got your X rating or your R rating or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this was one of the ones that we did. So this was into our sort of second year on the show, along with Fright Night.
Yes.
Which was fantastic. By the way, those eagle-eyed of you will have noticed that we haven't actually ended up going on holiday by mistake, as we promised last time.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
We got distracted by the Marsden house.
It happens. Sorry,
yeah. But yes, it's one of those ones that you need to see it. It is a must-see for any true horror fan, I'd say.
It's one of the first truly modern vampire films. I mean, we talked about Fright Night. Fright Night couldn't exist without this.
As we've noticed, the parallels between them.
Exactly. You know, this lays the bedrock, the boundary, the foundations of the things, the themes and the ideas that films like Fright Night would go on and to build on. And
yes.
The Lost Boys and all stuff like that.
Beat me to it by about 2 seconds. But yeah, I mean, what else can we really say about it, aside from the fact that if you want to say anything about the plot, it's some of it is kind of standard Stephen King fare. His protagonist is an author. It's set in Maine. and he's returning to his hometown to try to pay the ghosts of his childhood.
That would be a very good way of putting it, yes.
And find out that there's other things to worry about aside from ghosts. But it's an interesting one. They apparently he got the idea for it because he was a teacher, I think, or something, or he had a class.
He was a teacher for a while, yes.
Yeah, and he had his class read Dracula.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that story.
Yeah,
That's not one I'm familiar with.
And speculated on the idea, what happened if that happened here?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
If it happened in America.
Yeah.
If it happened here in a small town. Yeah, exactly. And that's really what it is. It is. I mean, even down to, the main instigating character being called Straker instead of Stoker.
Mm-hmm.
There are a number of reasonably obvious nods to the original material here.
Definitely. Do check it out. That's all. I know I've said it already, but please do.
Yeah,
it's absolutely well worth it. Again, don't be afraid of the fact that it is 3 hours and 3 minutes.
If you watch the full version, it's 3 hours and 3 minutes long. The made-for-TV movie version is 2 hours and something.
It's about that, isn't it? Yeah.
So you're going to lose a lot. But the version we've got is the 3 hour mini-series. And if you're going to indulge in this, do it properly. Absolutely. Watch the proper version.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed.
So I think it's a thumbs up, and you know what? 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's a seminal work in its genre and needs to be acknowledged.
Definitely, yeah, and also I think also gets the extra thumbs up regardless for me anyway for nostalgia value if nothing else.
Oh yeah, also all of the member berries.
Yes,
so many member berries.
All I was going to say was I think let's fire up the Jag and take that holiday.
You beautiful bastard! You talk to Monty.
Free to those who can.
As always, guys. TTFN.